been having serious issues with this whole like Walmart Steam gift card thing. Can I tell you what pisses me off even more about it?
What?
I've bought them there before with the gift card. Like, I've done it twice before. And the last time I went there, I went through self-checkout like I usually do. It won't ring up by itself, so you have to have somebody come over and do it. This lady didn't know how to do it, so she sent me to, like, check to customer service. And I was like, okay, fine. So I went over there, and this lady's like, oh, you can't buy that. And I was like, I've bought that here before with a gift card. She's like, they're cash only. I was like, there's no sign anywhere on them that says that they're cash only. And she's like, it's been like that since I've been here for 30 years. I was like, Steam hasn't existed for 30 years. So I don't know what the you're talking about, lady.
No,
but
I know. Like, our Walmart too is really weird about that sort of stuff. I mean, granted, our Walmart's kind of like in the hood, so there's that. But like, yeah, they're like super crazy about buying gift cards with gift cards. Even like the gift cards that are like Visa, like this is preloaded with cash, and it says like, oh, even pay bills with this. They're like, no, you can't, you won't. You're not allowed.
I get that. I totally get that. If they had said that right off the bat, I would have gotten that. But they didn't. They sold me ones. They've sold me Steam gift cards for gift cards before. And then they tried to tell me that they've never done that. I'm like, I have games that I've bought with the cards that I've purchased here. And they're like, oh, you sure it was this Walmart? I'm like, this is the only Walmart I go to. The only one. Like, this is crazy. You're on crazy cakes right now. It was very frustrating. And then what's even worse.
Is it the Kent Walmart?
The Ravenna one. The Ravenna Kent one. Yeah. And
that one fucking sucks ass anyway. So
I actually worked there for like 3 or 4 months.
Ugh, yeah, that one blows ass over there. Anytime I've ever been in there, they never have anything that I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And shit's just set up so weird. We'll go there if like I'm up at my mom's. I'm like, oh shit, like I gotta hurry up and snag something at Walmart, but I'll like bitch about it the whole time just because I hate that way. Whenever I was up doing the phone thing, my mom and I had to go and she needed chargers for her and my stepdad's phone because it like weirdly didn't come with it.
Right.
But like it's all in those like locked display cases. We had to wait for 25 minutes until she Karen'd out and literally went to like seek somebody in the back. Like it was wild.
That's absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, that place is insane. I was just so mad about it, especially since I went home and I'm like, and I was so bummed because once you cash in those points for a gift card, like that's it. That's your card. Like you have that, you can't spend it on anything else. So like I can't trade that gift card in for something that I can use on a video game anywhere else. You know what I mean? And I can't buy physical copies anymore because I have a PC. So I can't get it from Walmart. So like there's just nothing I can do. And then so I was really bummed. I told Melissa about it. She was like, you bought them before there. And I was like, yeah, they told me I can. I don't know what the fuck's going on. I was really mad, but what am I supposed to do? She came home and she was like, I can do it through the internet. Why can I use it on your website to buy a gift card, but I can't do it at store? That's crazy. They're sending me a gift card right now. Sending me a gift card that I spent gift card money with to get. Like, and I have to pay shipping. Why? Why do I have to pay shipping? Why can't I just get it in your fucking store? It's so fucking dumb. It's dumb beyond relief.
Time to get your fix. It's a horrible gaming podcast. It's not good. It's not great. Horrible gaming podcast. It's not even what you would call fair. It's really not that good. Horrible Gaming Podcast.
Hello, my name is Zachariah with Old Man Gaming. Welcome to another Horrible Gaming Podcast. For whatever reason, you've decided to join us. And by us, I mean I am not alone. With me, as always, is...
Neil, a.k.a. a tiny wizard.
Yes, we are here once again. But before we get into this jam-packed, awesome show, and by jam-packed awesome, I mean lackluster and done tired, we've got to give some credits out. Number one goes to Mark Bell. If you are watching this on YouTube, behind the fancy timestamps, you are seeing fancy original graphics. Those were provided by Mr. Mark Bell. And then, of course, the theme song for this show and all of the shows here at OMG are provided by the man who makes the music, my brother Nick Van Sliders, and we thank him for that.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right, so that brings us to our first segment, our most favorite segment, Fan Interaction. That's where us, the podcasters, talk to you guys, the fans. We read out your comments from all the places we can find them, and we just respond to them. We riff on them. We talk about them because, you know, your voices are the most important voices. We do this for you guys and the eventual promise of money that we're never going to make. So we didn't get a lot of comments this week, but Kev's request of other people commenting continues because we got a couple other commenters. So first, Seatown Avenger, alternate title: Old Man yells at gaming industry. To which I said that could be the alternate series title as well, and really the title of any show we have on the channel.
Pretty much.
Jason then said $60 is a lot to those in low cost of living areas because wages tend lower because they don't need to be higher. To those in high cost of living areas, that $60 is worthless because wages are higher. He actually doubled down on this on the Discord and actually like showed a map and stuff and talked about that. I do want to say though, Jason, regardless of where it is, $60 is still $60. Whether it is worth more to Ohioans than Californians or whatever, I don't think that that guy is right. I don't think that spending full price for video games, like making people feel bad for not spending full price for video games, regardless of where they live, is the correct way to be. Like, I don't think it should be about your cost of living. I think it should be about, hey, your game was subpar, so people bought it for less, and you shouldn't make people feel bad for not paying full price, regardless of who spends what where. I just want to make that known. Do you disagree at all, Neil?
No, I was just about to say, like, the point of it, I think the overall takeaway from Home Slice's comments, I can't remember his name.
Jason.
No, not Jay. The guy who was
douchebaggy. I can't remember his name.
Douchebag.
Yeah, douchebag.
Yeah,
douchebag.
No, I think the overall
that Days Gone douchebag.
Yeah, our overall point of that, it's not about the money per se. I think it's just about what it is that he was trying to argue. Right. His argument was not a valid argument.
Right. I mean, that's what it comes down to. Is I don't think I don't think you should make people feel bad for that. Like, I don't think that. I think especially in a system, like, I understand wanting to make money, but I feel like, especially in an industry that has so much artistic expression, you should just be happy people are seeing your art. You know, not everybody gets that chance. Not everybody gets as many people to see their art as you do. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think you should just, like, I think you should shut your mouth, especially if your game is not good, you know?
Right.
Moving on to Horrible Arena. Looks like you're going to pull away a little bit, buddy. Because Kev Too Tall voted for you. He's going with Outer Space with Neil this time. So that puts you up to 16, and again, you are 2 in front of me.
I don't know how this one's gonna go this week.
I'm proud of my pitch, though I feel it's a very standard Zach pitch.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of went a different direction with it, and I think I don't know. I think there's enough there to keep it in with the criterion, so we'll see.
Okay. Oh, I mean, I don't know. I'm definitely within the criteria of mine. Mine is very classic detective with a twist, but again, it's a very Zach pitch. And usually when I pitch very Zach pitches, they do not win. so we'll see. I do want to throw a question out to everybody since we've had a couple of other commenters, and I want to get some conversations going. What are you guys most excited for in gaming right now? Is it a video game? Is it a DLC? Is it a movie based on a video game? Like something related to video game that's just got your blood boiling. It's got just got you so excited. I've got a few of my own. I know Neil has some himself. So I'd love to hear what you guys are, and please comment and let us know. But that's it, man. That's all fan traction. That's all we had this week.
Oh wow! Alrighty.
Yeah, nice easy one. We might actually make the show on time.
I was hoping you weren't gonna say something because
I gotta say something. That's how I roll. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to our first talking point then.
Alrighty.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right, so we had a little bit of Microsoft news come out, and I don't know. I'm going kind of both ways on this, but apparently
you're going both ways, huh?
Going both ways on this. Hey, you are the one who made that innuendo joke, not I. Anyways, so Microsoft was planning to take its Xbox Store cut to match Epic's at, I believe it was 12%. So on PC, games sold on PC, Microsoft is only going to take a 12% cut. However, there was also in the same article from The Verge mentioned that Microsoft had talked about reducing their cut from Xbox console sales of games, digital game sales, down to 30%, which is pretty big. Now, it is worth mentioning in this Verge article that a spokesperson did come out and say that they will not be updating the revenue split for console publishers. So there is a chance that plans have changed in that regard, or they never just got far enough along in the conversations to really hash out if and how that would work. But I don't know. What do you think about all of this?
Okay, so they're cutting basically the amount of money that goes to them for selling stuff in their store, correct?
Yeah. So on the Microsoft,
I don't know why I'm not getting this quite right.
When you buy the game off of the Microsoft Game Store on PC, they're going to take their cut down. It's only going to be 12% to match what the Epic Game Store does. Okay. So basically, they're trying to throw their hat into the ring as basically like the PC console, the PC launcher basic platform. And then there was the potential talk too of reducing the console cut down to 30% that Microsoft was going to change or was going to take. So yeah, I don't know. I think it is a good idea, but at the same time, I almost feel like Microsoft, at least on the PC front, is trying to force themselves in like Epic without throwing all the money around. And I don't know as if it necessarily is going to be enough to pull people away from the Steam launcher and now the Epic launcher that is basically neck and neck to some degree with Steam.
I didn't realize, and I call me dumb. I've been on PC for a while, but I didn't realize you could launch stuff from the Xbox Store on PC. Honestly, I thought you could use Games Pass on PC, but I didn't realize you could buy stuff through Microsoft on PC and launch it that way. I just didn't even realize you could do that.
Yeah, and I think that is inherently a problem with what Microsoft is trying to do, because they never had enough of that mind share for their Windows Store for games. If you're a PC gamer, you have Steam, and if you don't have Steam, you have Epic. You might have both. You might have Bethesda's launcher and all the other ones that have come out.
Right.
But I would be hard pressed to find somebody playing games on PC who's like, yeah, man, I just open up the Microsoft store and, and that I feel like maybe if they were competition for Epic a bit more than they are, and I wouldn't even compare them to Steam at this point, but if they were a little bit more out there and had marketed the Windows Store for games a bit better, then maybe this could be something. But I think that they're just trying to steal people away from other platforms, and they're just going to further fragment the PC base with launchers.
This is a tough subject. I don't necessarily disagree with you on the fragmenting the base. That's something that's just happening with all streaming, honestly. And I mean, anything that you get like a better way of doing things is just to go to this place. Well, then other people realize they can be that place also, and then you have just this fragmentation. The same thing with video and movie streaming. We've talked about it before. I think, though, from Microsoft's point of view, there are a couple of things they could do correctly to do this. I do, however, think, and I could be completely wrong, because I don't know that I know exactly how the software works, but it should all be in that Games Pass app. If it's all in that Games Pass app, I think they actually have a chance, because you get them in with the Games Pass stuff. Because I'm not going to lie, I would probably use the Games Pass app to buy stuff over maybe Steam and Epic if... And I might be able to, and I just don't realize it. But if I could just buy through that Games Pass app and put it in there, and the reason being, is Steam gift cards are actually more annoying to purchase than people think they are, on a couple of different levels. But Microsoft gift cards way easier to get. Everybody sells them. You can buy them basically on receipts at GameStop for as much as you want or as little as you want. It'd be a lot easier to get those. I would actually use that over Steam if that was something they could do. But the problem is I don't want to have to go to the Microsoft store for the stuff I've bought and then to Games Pass for the stuff I've had. Like, if you could put it all through Games Pass and then, like let me take you through it. Like, I'm going to play a game, right? I'm like, I want to play, let's say, Mortal Kombat 11. I want to play Mortal Kombat 11. I've never played it before. I've never owned it. I want to get it. I want to play it. So I go to Games Pass first to check if it's already in there, because you never know with Games Pass nowadays.
Right.
And it's not. But if that immediately was then like, it's not in here, but you can purchase it for this amount of dollars right here and then play it right here, that would get me a little bit more than me having to like back out of that, go to Steam, find it on Steam, purchase it on Steam. You know what I mean? Like, because I'm subscribed to Games Pass. I'm already inclined to use the Games Pass subscription. I am not subscribed to anything Steam or Epic has to offer. So if I could get the item that isn't paid for through the Games Pass app that I already have, that I have to have for Games Pass, I'd be more inclined to use Games Pass. I'd be more inclined to buy it through Microsoft. Do you see what I'm saying?
Right.
I don't know. I feel like that was kind of long-winded, and I couldn't quite find the way to say what I'm trying to say. But, like, no. Do I want it to be more fragmented? No. Do I want another launcher that I have to deal with? No. But if you could tell me that the thing... Because, like I said, I have to have Games Pass because I'm on Games Pass. It's the best value in gaming right now. You got to have that. Right? So everybody's got that in addition to what they have on Steam, what they have on Epic. If Xbox Games Pass could also just have all my purchased games, well, I would just go to that more often than not.
So I'm actually looking right now. I have the Xbox app pulled up for the PC.
I probably should have done it too, since I'm on a PC too.
I kind of figured this, since we're talking about it, and you can buy games within the Xbox app. Now, I don't know from this article if they are talking about strictly just the Windows Store or also Xbox.
Right.
So, I mean, that is something that's not necessarily mentioned at all. But I don't know. I think I think that if it is across the Xbox app on the PC also, then yeah, maybe they are onto something, given, like what you just said. But
Right.
if it is strictly just the Windows Store, let's be real, who is a gamer and is going to have that be their primary as it is right now? And is, Xbox taking less of a cut going to be the reason that people go over there?
I mean,
it's just going to be
maybe
like
not.
Epic throwing money around. The only reason that Epic started getting those deals in the first place, taking them away from Steam,
Right.
is because the companies were the ones that benefited from it. And honestly, it did nothing but upset the gamers.
Well, I'm okay with a little bit more or less cuts anyway, because it will go to, like, indie developers will get more out of their cuts, and those are the guys who are really hurt by that kind of sales anyway.
Yeah.
So that's nice. I'm okay with that. But at the same time, yeah, I don't know. I think they have a built-in leg up with Games Pass if they do it correctly. And
Right.
I'm actually now realizing that I can buy through my Xbox Games Pass. So I'm wondering if I shouldn't just start doing that, honestly. But here's the problem. Here's the problem inherently in it is that I have to say, like, I'm figuring that out on my own. I feel like their marketing towards this is not, like, there's no education on this. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
like they're not it's almost like they're not pushing for it. They're just cutting it. So does that mean they're gearing up to compete with them and be a launcher, or does it mean that they're just like cutting it, kind of haphazardly trying to get people to come over when they probably wouldn't? Whereas if they wanted to do this, like, for serious get in, that's how you do it. You go up and you be like, look, you guys all have Games Pass. You love Games Pass. Buy stuff through Games Pass. We're making it as cheaper as the other guys. You know what I mean? Like, so, like, I feel like that is a leg up if they push for it. But are they going to push for it?
Right.
And are they going to do it properly?
I'm sorry, what?
And are they going to do it properly? Because, like, this is interesting because I feel like this is a precursor to a move. Like, I don't feel like this is a move in itself.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing is, like, what can this mean going forward? Like, what is it that they're trying to do? Are they trying to position themselves, more on the PC end as a launcher than, anything else? I mean, I think it would be potentially, it could be a good thing, but it's getting to the point that, the Xbox app on PC or the Windows Store is, synonymous with gaming on PC. They're starting to run a race that's already been going for years now. Like, what is it that you can do to shore up that difference?
Right. Man, I really could just purchase through Games Pass. I never even realized I could do that. I'm sorry. While we've been talking now, I've gotten super curious, and I've been looking at it, and I can straight up just purchase through the Games Pass app. That actually solves a serious problem I've been having with my game buying. Yeah, I mean, not to spin off on a different, like, tangent, but, like, I try very hard not to get any games for full price, regardless of what Days Gone fat fuck producer says. So like, I go out of my way to, like, find specials and to find ways to get it cheaper. One of the ways I do that is this thing called Shopkicks. Basically, what it is you scan barcodes for points. You scan so many points, you get a gift card. What I do then, and this has been tricky, is I used to do it for GameStop. I don't necessarily love GameStop, but GameStop doesn't really sell Steam gift cards. Like, I can never find Steam gift cards there. Which is super irritating. So I started doing it through Walmart. Well, Walmart just suddenly decided to not let me buy Steam gift cards through them with gift cards from Walmart. So I can't use the gift card to buy the gift card, but I can online, but I have to give some of it up to shipping. So I'm losing $5, and it takes me like a month to get like $25 in this app of, like, repeated, like, hour-long trips to scan barcodes, But, like, now I'm kind of realizing that I could just I could just get Xbox dollars at GameStop, put it on my account, and then like I could get GameStop gift cards, get Xbox dollars, put it on my account, buy it through Xbox. Steam might be a way of the past for me at this point. But yeah, sorry. I went down a rabbit hole on air, which is terrible show stuff.
I mean, it's in the name.
It is. It's true. That's true. But I never realized you could buy stuff for that. And honestly, that's kind of the problem, in my opinion. Like, when you had sent me this story, I was thinking there was, like, another storefront that I had to go to that I didn't even know about that I had to purchase from, whereas I could just do it all through Games Pass. I never realized I could do that. And I feel like that's kind of a problem. Like, why don't I know I can do that, you know? Like, it's not just me being stupid. There needs to be more like, hey, you can just buy through this awesome app we have, you know? Like, if they want to be a storefront, they need to market more than just the Games Pass.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I almost feel like it should be something like whenever you set up your PC. I mean, I don't remember it being this way. Whenever I first turned my computer, whenever I bought this computer and set it up, being a gaming laptop,
right,
there was no anything about like, hey, here's the Xbox store, or like, hey, you know, Steam is a thing, or any of the other launchers. I mean, maybe they just assume that you know what you're doing, you know, going into it, which is a fair assumption, but I don't know. It's just a missed marketing opportunity.
Yeah, like I feel like if this is their goal, if their goal is to be a storefront, then everybody needs to know it's a storefront, not just Games Pass. And I don't feel like everybody does. And I think that, especially since you and me didn't, and we're pretty avid gamers, you know.
Right.
So I feel like there needs to be a push in marketing that way. And if this means they're preparing to do that, I think that it will be interesting. I don't necessarily love the idea of more fractioning, but honestly, now that I look at it, it's already there. Like, there's already a system in place for it to be a storefront. So they just need to tell people about it, you know?
Right.
And I feel like having Games Pass already there is a huge leg up over Steam and Epic. I mean, I know Steam and Epic are beasts, but Steam and Epic don't offer just these huge playable libraries right off the bat. Like, they just don't. So, like, I feel like that's something, you know?
Right.
Yeah. All right. Well, is there anything else you wanted to add to this? Or you want to move on to the next one?
No, let's go on over to the next one.
All right.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right. So that brings us to our next talking point, and it's another fun one for Neil.
Yes.
Doom Eternal added more paid cosmetic DLC after assurances that they would not. And despite assurances, I'm just going to read a little section from the article on IGN.com. Despite assurances that Doom Eternal would not add paid cosmetic DLC, 2 more packs have now been made available for purchase. As reported by VGC, these 2 packs, the Doom My Corn Master Collection cosmetic pack and the Series 1 cosmetic pack, are now available for PC, Xbox, and PlayStation and cost $4.99 and $8.99 respectively. Prior to Doom Eternal's launch, creative director Hugo Martin responded to a Facebook comment confirming the game would have no store. No store, Martin wrote. Nothing you can unlock in Eternal with XP has anything to do with player abilities or content that would impact your game in any way. The only thing you can unlock with XP is cosmetics. These cosmetics have no impact on how you play. They just look cool. Eternal is a $60 game, not a free-to-play game or a mobile game. We are giving you a complete experience with no store, just like you'd expect. Unlike unlocking skins with XP is part of the experience if you care about the stuff, or you can completely ignore it and it will have no impact on your experience at all, and it's all free. These 2 packs aren't the first pieces of cosmetic DLC to be made available. The Rip and Tear pack was released a couple of months after launch.
Okay, so I hate this whole excuse with microtransactions of, well, you can just ignore it. Like, yeah, sure, you can ignore it, but it doesn't stop them from every time you start the game up from it in front of your face, this, that, and the other thing. If you were to go to a store to buy something,
Mm-hmm.
if you walk into that store and somebody starts chasing you around whenever you first walk in, waving around products in your face, say, hey, buy this thing, buy this thing. You can totally ignore me if you want, but you should really buy this thing. That's not what I came here for. Second, the fact that they're shoveling this stuff in post-launch, it's upsetting because it was a couple of weeks ago. We had the sales numbers for Doom Eternal with no microtransactions, anything like that, and it didn't need it at all whatsoever.
Right.
Why is it in there now? I mean, granted, some of the stuff, I think some of it, if not all of it, was all stuff that was offered before anyways. Like the unicorn thing was was like a Twitch thing. If you were to attach your Bethesda account to Twitch, you got that for free.
Right.
Sure, whatever, you were giving it away for free, but like, why are you selling it now? Is it just like for people who missed out on it, this, that, and the other thing? I mean, I don't understand why this is a thing. The only thing that I can think of is now that Microsoft owns Bethesda, Microsoft may have made that decision to be like, hey, you need to throw some microtransaction-y bullshit in there. It's frustrating. It's absolutely frustrating. Especially, again, we're going back to this whole, when a game is getting ready to come out, oh, no, this, that, and the other thing. There's no microtransactions, anything like that. I mean, more insidiously, Activision did it with the Crash Team Racing remake. It wasn't until after the reviews came out that they opened up their digital storefront, and then they found out that, the monetization for it was just ludicrous for everything. Granted, Doom Eternal's been out for a little over a year at this point, but like, why is this just now a thing happening, and why does it have to happen in general?
Right. So here's my thoughts on it. I'm not as bothered by microtransactions in its purest form as you are, especially when they're done right or okay. So like just the mere fact that there are microtransactions in the game don't bother me. What bothers me about this is the bold-faced lying. Like, these guys, this guy went on Twitter, wrote a diatribe about how microtransactions would be bad for this game, basically. He, like, it's a huge Twitter post. I just read it to you guys. He basically said, not only will there never be microtransactions in this game, but the only thing that you can earn is the XP, and it's only for cosmetics, and the cosmetics won't affect you one way or the other. Like, microtransactions have no place in this game is basically what he said, paraphrasing. And then we have we have 4 different microtransactions now in this game. And this is the kind of thing that we've been talking about for weeks. Like, my problem isn't the stuff they're doing. My problem is that they just keep lying to us about it. And that's the issue. Like, you want to be a money grubber, fine. We've said it 1,000 times. We live in a capitalistic society. Tell us up front. Be like, hey, yeah, there's going to be some microtransactions in this game. You don't have to buy them, but they're going to be there. Whatever. Okay. Like, fine. But the fact that you told us there wasn't going to be, and now you're hiding stuff behind money, that's what's more egregious to me, I guess. And it's the same as Cyberpunk lying about what the game is about. It's the same as, it's the same as all of these companies just like lying to us about stuff. Like, be upfront about what your game is. Be upfront about what you're going to have, and we're not going to get upset,
Right. And it's the fact that he already, before, I almost feel like the initial tweet may have tilted the hand to some degree. It's like, oh, well, it's all just cosmetic. It doesn't matter, this, that, and the other.
Well,
Ignoring
the initial
fact,
tweet doesn't even say that it says there's no microtransactions, dude. Like,
right?
I think
But I just like the bending over backwards of the inclusion of this stuff to begin with, because I feel like when this stuff gets put into games, especially nowadays when, you know, the publishers are doing things like Activision with the Crash Team Racing, purposely withholding it, it's like they know that there's gonna be some sort of backlash with it. Like we said, we're not sure if this is something that they had in the cards the whole time and dude was just lying. Maybe they changed their mind somewhere
Right.
along the way, this, that, and the other thing. But like, we're always being primed to just accept this stuff, and it's kind of frustrating. Like, in a free-to-play game, or even like a sub $60 game, let's say something that's like $20, $30. Okay. Microtransactions, I am totally okay with, as long as they don't tip the balance of play. Right. If Doom came out and was a $30 game, let's just say, and then they were like, hey, buy these skins. Fine, cool, whatever. I'd still have a problem with the fact that you said that they weren't going to be in there in the first place. But like, okay, fine, whatever. The fact that we've already gone and spent $60 on this game, plus in some cases, I got the deluxe edition, the $80 version of this game, which comes with the season pass, this, that, and the other, but I don't get access to this stuff.
Right.
So I've already given you $80. I've already got the season pass for the DLC.
And you've already said that all of your stuff is going to be free.
And you've already said that all your stuff is going to be free. Yet here you are knocking on my metaphysical door with your hand out.
Yep. Yeah.
Like, I don't like that. And that's the thing. Like, Bethesda has had such a rocky, you know, past year or two. Doom was that bright spot. Microsoft coming in and like, hey, you know, you're a part of the family now, was great. But now even this, it makes me wonder, first and foremost, if it was a Microsoft decision or a Bethesda decision. And two, what could that mean with Microsoft moving forward with Bethesda?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, who was behind this? And I gotta say, to Hugo Martin, stuff like this doesn't just pop up overnight. Right. You know what I mean? So, like, you put that tweet out there, like, and hey, Twitter's a cesspool, I get it. But you put that out there about this game. You said it was going to be free. I feel like you knew this was coming. You should have at least prepared people for it. You should have at least been like, hey, I'm sorry. I said some stuff was going to be free. We are going to have some paid DLCs. I apologize. You know what I mean? Like, but instead, right. you've straight up lied to us, and then you didn't give us any like excuse whatsoever. You just put out paid DLC and decided to pretend like you had never told us anything. This just gets more into the gaming industry and how it's indicative of corruption right now. And I feel like the gaming industry as a whole is starting to go down this path where we're going to end up in a crash situation where it's going to be, when you have all these people doing all this shady shit, there's going to be a fallout. There just is. And at some point, there's going to be some straw that breaks the camel's back, and then it's going to seriously hurt the gaming industry as a whole.
You know what I think that I don't know if you were done with your thought. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Go for it. Here real quick.
I've interrupted you plenty of times over the years. So
you know what? You bring that up, and there is one thing that springs forward to mind.
Okay.
And that is microtransactions and loot boxes. Now,
yeah,
we've said before that there are ways that you can do it right.
Yes, definitely.
But for every single one that is doing it right, there are 5, 6, 10 that are doing it wrong. Right. So much so that foreign governments, U.S. government, have started to look at these things.
Yeah.
And be like, hey, this is some wild shit. Maybe we should, look into this and crack down on it.
Right.
And that is cracked down to the point to where it's completely either eradicated or changed fundamentally in such a way that game companies can't really exploit it anymore.
Right.
Then that's your crash right there. Because the game industry right now is being fueled by this unmitigated exponential growth because of microtransactions. And if they don't get people hooked in on that, well, they don't make, they don't get even more millions of dollars. Bobby Kotick doesn't get even more millions of dollars, even though he just took a pay cut. We'll get into that.
His pay cut's bullshit, though. But
that's bullshit. But like I said, we'll get into that. And that's where your crash is going to happen, because they give us all these reasons under the sun as to why they have to be in there in the first place. Well, it's a put up or shut up situation, because either A, they're lying to us and they'll be just fine without them, and then that will make people be like, hey, that's kind of some bullshit. Or B, they really do need them and we aren't going to be able to get the games produced how we want them or have expected them up to this point. So that right there can put us in another sort of crash situation.
Well, and that's something that goes back to something I've been preaching for a few months: overbuild. Like, these games, they're overbuilt. They don't need to be as big as they are. And I almost feel like they're putting so much money into these that the only way to sustain them is by, like, games make more money than anything. They make more than the movie.
And more than movies.
They make more than movies, music, and TV combined as an industry. And you still have games that come out in the state of Cyberpunk. You still have games that can't get their shit together 2 months later, like Outriders. You still have all these bugs, like to the point where all the games I'm excited for coming out, I'm like, man, I'm not as excited for them because I kind of think they're going to have bugs and fail. Biomutant is the next game that I'm really excited to play, but part of me is like, I don't know if I want to buy that right off the bat, because it's probably going to have a ton of bugs, because all games do. And I can't be the only one at this point out there that feels this way. I can't be the only one who is truly having fatigue with the shitty way that games are produced. I know Philbilly feels the same way. We had a huge conversation about it the other day when we were talking about Biomutant. We're both like, we really are excited for that game. We like everything we've seen, but we can't trust the game people who are making it, because we just can't trust anybody. We've just been burned so many times in the past, in the recent past. So we're not the only people feeling this fatigue. And you just get into this terrible position where, like, these games make so much money, but they need so much money to be made, and it's not sustainable. They're not sustainable.
Right. And that's the thing. It's this growth that keeps going on and on and on and on and on. And eventually, you get to, again, back to Activision, to where you have to lay a whole bunch of people off to, offset the cost that you've had to, like, show, like, oh yeah, we're actually growing, we're actually expanding, because, your shareholders, again, gotta love that corporate America capitalism.
Right.
You got to keep them happy too. Screw the people who are buying the games.
Right.
I mean, we've seen that full force.
Well, and this is beyond capitalism. Honestly, this is like a level of greed that goes beyond just normal capitalism evils. Like Cyberpunk. We were gonna not talk about it, but Cyberpunk 2077, all their people are getting bonuses. They're getting bonuses off one of the most controversial and terrible launches in history. Yeah, it made a ton of money, but Cyberpunk 2077 is a fucking joke with no players in it. And all of those people are getting bonuses for that game. Bonuses that maybe if they had put that money into the game's production instead of into their pockets, you know what I mean? Like, there's just no balance anywhere in the industry. Everything's top heavy, and you end up with this, like, these terrible situations. And now they're sticking microtransactions into games that don't need them, don't want them, that are well past the point of having to have them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that like gaming as a whole is in a real tough spot, even though it's producing some of the coolest things we've ever seen. At the same time, it's just at this spot where like everything coming out, I'm like, sure, it's gonna get delayed, and when it comes out, it's gonna be shitty. You know, like I don't. Every game, I used to look at gaming with such wonder, like child-eyed wonder, and the more we get into this, the more I'm just like. I'm just in this cynical, sarcastic, like, yeah, that's gonna be great. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I mean that's part of the reason why I haven't really glommed on to anything like super new, and the stuff that is newer that I've been playing, at least somewhat recently, has been like indie stuff
Right.
that, you know, you get a handful of people who are very passionate about that and want to make sure they put out the best thing that they have, because
Right.
you know, an indie game, you only get one shot to really make it.
Right.
With these big games, they know now, especially we've been trained to accept stuff like, you know, the game comes out and it's like, well, it'll get the like No Man's Sky. What was it? No Man's Sky Next. It'll get the next patch.
Yeah.
And it'll be good eventually. So
Yeah.
like, yeah, I wasted my money now, but it'll be good eventually, this, that, and the other thing. And that's like what you were saying, like
Yeah.
when Phil Bill, you're talking about, like, I'm not going to jump onto something that I know is not going to be
Right.
great right out of the gate.
Right.
And even now at this point, we can't trust things that we know are going to be good. Doom Eternal's still a great game.
Right.
It's fantastic, but again, we just can't stay away from trying to get more money somehow, some way, somewhere.
yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah, it's very, very frustrating, and I don't know. I really thought that Cyberpunk would be a turnaround, but you know, those guys are making more money than they've ever made. You know, so like I don't know what the straw is going to be, but if that wasn't the catalyst, I'm very afraid for what the catalyst is going to be, because if that's not the catalyst, then the catalyst is really going to shut some shit down, and that scares me. Like everybody was afraid of the pandemic. I would be way more afraid when these game companies all start getting, you know, government sanctions, because then we're going to be in real shit, because none of them know how to operate without this kind of like shady shit at this point. They're so deep in to their own criminal, well, not quite criminal behavior, that when they can't do it, when that behavior actually does become illegal, they're not going to know how to operate. We're not going to get games for like 2 years, you know?
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. You want to move on to odds and ends, though? Because this is getting depressing.
Sure. Sure.
All right.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right, so that brings us to odds and ends. This segment, we like to collect smaller news stories that don't necessarily deserve their own talking point, but we want to talk to you guys about, we want to tell you guys about, we just want to riff about, maybe some stuff we're excited about. I have 4. Neil, you said you have 5?
Yeah.
You want to take it away with the first one then?
All right. Well, because we invoked his name earlier, human dildo Bobby Kotick is no longer one of the most overpaid CEOs in America, at least on paper, essentially. According to an SEC filing, he agreed to cut his base salary and annual bonus in half in exchange for extending his contract through March 2023. He now makes a measly $875,000 a year, with bonus, of course, and stock options and all this other crap. So, I mean, it's just a goodwill gesture, basically.
Well, and his bonus structure got even better, too. So...
Yeah, there was something else. Just because this is outside of my realm, I didn't want to get too far into it. But basically, yeah, he
can make
like
200% of his salary in bonuses alone.
Yeah, right. And that's the thing. Yeah, sure, he's losing in his salary money, but it's not. Sure, he may technically be losing money, but like, let's be real, he's still making a butt-ass fuck ton.
Yeah, it's straight up like your hardware chest in your garage with screws in it. Like, you could give screws to people all day and you'll still have a ton of screws. Like, it doesn't matter.
Right.
You know, like, it's just endless. It's like, what's 850,000 to somebody with 4 billion, you know?
Right. Oh, he's good at screwing people, that's for sure.
Well,
All right. What do you got?
Mine are more fun. I'm going to say that.
Fun ones too. I have some fun ones too.
Okay. All right. Number one, I want to do the one I'm most excited about first, Neil.
Okay.
And that is another DLC trailer came out for Streets of Rage 4.
Yeah, I saw you shared it. I didn't get a chance to watch it yet.
It's only about 20 seconds, and it's Max Power is going to be the next playable character in addition to Estelle Aguirre. They're going to do Old Man Max Power, basically. The wrestler that you fight, the brainwashed wrestler that you fight, who was actually a character in Streets of Rage 2, do you remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can play him. He's going to be playable, and it's his, which I got really excited about. I'm super excited about. I'm just super excited about that DLC. Like, they still haven't announced a date, and we still have one more character for them to announce that's coming. But what's crazy, if you watch those trailers, all the shit that's going on in the background, like, I'm like, man, I can't wait to see everything that they add to this. I just can't wait.
And honestly, with how well the game was received and the fact that it's getting a DLC and the fact that the DLC announcement has been well received, they would be dumb to not do Streets of Rage 5.
Oh, yeah. I think we're definitely going to see a Streets of Rage 5 at some point in the future. But honestly, I'm just excited for Streets of Rage for the DLC. Like
Yeah.
And I don't even care if it costs money. I will pay money for that. I am super excited about it. Super excited. I don't know if it will or not. They haven't said one way or the other, but I am super goddamn excited.
I'm just ready to stab someone with a swordfish.
Yeah, I know. I know you are. I know you are.
So, one of my fun ones.
Okay.
Apparently, back in 2009, THQ commissioned a golden Wii for Queen Elizabeth II. She never received it, unfortunately, but it is being sold on eBay, or at least was sold on eBay. At the time that I was reading the article and got this, the console is a 24-karat gold-plated Wii. And the starting price was $300,000.
Does it play, or is it just like
it functions? It's plated. So like instead of the plastic housing, it's either a gold shell over it, or they just took the plastic pieces off and used those to make molds to turn it into gold.
Can I be honest with you? If I could get my hands on that, I do love money, but I wouldn't even trade it for money. I would take it to Queen Elizabeth and trade it for a knighthood.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sir Zachariah.
Yeah. No.
Yes. Yes. I would be like all about that.
Sir Hard Rock Esquire.
Do I get a license? Can I put that on my license?
All right.
My next one. My next one's kind of weird because I want to put over a podcast that I've discovered recently. That has just like, I don't know, made my day. I'm very obsessed with it. And it's called Mortal Podcast. The podcast, the C is a K. So it's, and it doesn't have a lot of subscribers, surprisingly. It's a small amount of subscribers, but it's this guy named Ben Maker, who's a comedy writer. He has a bunch of D-list friends come on. And basically, the whole thing is he couldn't get Mortal Kombat when he was a kid, but he became obsessed with it. So he would just read the lore and stuff. And Neil, I don't know if you've ever gone into the lore of Mortal Kombat, but it is crazy deep, like crazy fucking deep. And so basically what this podcast is each episode, he has a D-list celebrity friend on with him who does not care about Mortal Kombat. And he basically just tells them the entire story of Mortal Kombat from one of the characters' point of views, start to finish, while they ask questions and make jokes about it, basically. So, like, he'll take an episode about Kano, and he had Ron Funches on, and he would just basically tell him everything that happened to Kano from start to finish in the entirety of the Mortal Kombat lore. This show, it's just, I don't know. I'm putting it over because it's just such a good show. It's still on. He's still doing them. It's only got, like, from what I can tell, like, it only has, like, 51 subscribers or something crazy small like that, but it's awesome. Like, it's awesome. And just like, I'm so excited every one that he does.
Yeah, I really learned a fair amount about the lore for Mortal Kombat recently from a podcast, also actually called Story Break.
Oh,
Uh, it's a bunch of dudes who they're a bunch of Hollywood writers. They also do a D&D real play podcast called
okay.
Dungeons and Daddies, which is interesting as well. But Story Break, they take an existing movie or idea for a movie or IP or something and turn it into a movie. They have an hour to pitch a movie about it. And it's literally it's like Horrible Arena, but with movies. And it is just stupid funny. But the
That's
most
awesome.
recent episode that they did was Mortal Kombat, and that's where I got like all of my lore information from, and it's dumb.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I ended up down this trail, and it actually made me end up buying the video game, which I told you about.
Yeah.
Just because I was like, man, now I want to play the game, even though I've never wanted to play it before. Which basically just means kids somewhere in the world get to tear my guts out on a regular basis.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a really cool podcast. I urge anybody to go check it out because this guy. One thing though, get past the first episode. The guest he has on the first episode is the most annoying person I have ever listened to or heard in my life. She makes the entire podcast like about her and tries to like do improv with it. It's terrible. But every episode after that is great. So just go past that first episode.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, it's really good. Mortal Podcast.
So my next one, smaller. I don't know why this is news, but apparently it's news. Halo Infinite is apparently going to have cross-play and cross-progression whenever it comes out.
That's
good.
great.
Duh.
Yeah.
I feel like this would be a bigger issue if it wasn't there. But yeah, and they're talking about starting to set up beta test flights here soon. I'm going to assume around maybe next month they're going to have more solid plans for it for E3. I already said I'm registered through the Halo Insider program for both my laptop and my Xbox, so we'll see what happens.
Well, hey man, if you could get some captures of that'd be great for the channel. If you can't, that's fine too. But
fucking believe if I get into that beta, I am gonna be all in it all the time.
That's my man. That's my man. My next one's an Xbox One too. It is getting possibly a Nintendo Switch exclusive into Games Pass.
I've heard.
And there's some news. It's unconfirmed, but more or less definitely happening that Bravely Default is coming to Xbox Games Pass. Not a game I'm particularly interested in, but again, same with the last time I talked about this when they got the RBI baseball. It's a big deal whenever a competing system, like whenever Xbox Games Pass gets a competing systems exclusive.
Yeah, honestly, that's a game that I've heard about that I've kind of wanted to try because it kind of falls within my RPG sort of.
Yeah, it
anime
definitely seems like a Neil
wheelhouse.
game. Yeah, it definitely seems like a Neil game.
So I hope that happens. So huge news. Stop the presses.
Okay.
Massive update to Google Stadia. Massive, huge, groundbreaking. This changes the game. They're getting a search bar in their store.
Hey, Neil, I got one question for you.
Well, you know what? What's your question?
What's Google Stadia?
I don't think Google Stadia even knows what Google Stadia is. Because, so what's really interesting is in a very bizarre move, the search function does not execute with just simply hitting enter. The search function is only available to those who already have a Google Stadia account.
Oh, good God.
So if you are somebody for some reason who wants to check out Stadia and wants to see what Stadia is all about, You have to literally sign up for Stadia up front to be able to use the search function.
How fucking stupid. I feel like if someone were to make a list of how to fail to launch a streaming console, like they just do everything Google did.
Yeah.
Step by step with Stadia, and then be like, just don't do that. Do the opposite of that, and you'll probably be all right. You'll be at least better than they were. That's for sure.
Yeah, and how it actually functions too. I didn't get to finish reading that part of what I took the note. Usually when you search for anything, you can like hit enter or whatever. Hitting enter does not do anything. You have to literally manually click the search and click the magnifying glass. So, I mean, going against all instinct, people were probably going to, type in whatever and then slap enter to, search for whatever it's going to be. And that's not even going to work. So you can't even build a search bar that functions like a search bar ass search bar. It's dumb. It's stupid. Next.
Okay. All right. My final one is a really cool one, and I know you're going through a lot right now, buddy, but when it's all resolved, we should consider actually using this to make a show, I think. But Super Mario Party got online support. So you can now play You can now play Super Mario Party on your Switch with people anywhere you go. And I went into it the other day. Basically, when you go to the party section of the little, I don't know, the plaza or whatever, it just asks you if you want to play online or offline. And then you could just play with your friends on Mario Party. So, yeah. So, like, you and I could literally play Mario Party right now.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, this is definitely once we finally get closed on this house this week, fingers crossed, and get settled. Yeah,
we're all rooting for you, buddy. We're all rooting for you. Yeah, I thought that'd be a lot of fun. Honestly, I think. Okay, so yeah, that was my last one, man.
All right, I got one more, and it's frustrating.
Oh no!
It's frustrating. All right, so apparently the Newegg Shuffle isn't really such a great opportunity as they make it out to be to get your hands on all that hard-to-find tech. According to the tech website Tom's Hardware, Newegg told PC Mag that on average, 100,000 people enter the Shuffle daily. So after doing some math and considering for averages and making assumptions on availability, Tom's Hardware and other outlets put the chances of you winning the Newegg Shuffle at a measly 1/100th of a percent. 1/100th of a percent.
That's crazy.
1 in 100,000 chance to win something.
I tell you, we're worried about the crash of gaming being this unmitigated dream. The crash of gaming might be these fucking chips. Because if they can't start getting more systems out there, nobody's going to be able to play these games or purchase these games that are of such high, like, prestige that they're not going to be able to recoup their costs. Like, this is getting fucking ridiculous, man.
Yeah, and I saw that I think it was NVIDIA had an investor call last week where they straight up said they don't expect stock to improve to a somewhat normal level until 2022.
Right, which is insane.
Sony, there was already a rumor floating around, I didn't put it in odds and ends, that Sony is considering looking at a console redesign to get around the shortage. I don't know how the fuck that's going to work.
Right.
And, like, myself, again, like with the PC stuff, I'm on the verge of finishing my PC, and that's something that I'm going to look to do once, again, we get this house crap figured out.
Right.
And I've already had to make, I'm going to make a concession on the processor as it is, but I mean, even still, you still cannot find graphics cards. People who have graphics cards that are 6 years old are still getting double the money back that they paid for them if they sell them online. It is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. Crazy right now.
Yeah.
And it's not getting any better anytime soon. And there's already rumors too floating around that there's going to be a 3080 Ti because, of course, there is.
Right.
NVIDIA's going to throw out another graphics card when they can't even get the ones in stock that they're, trying to deal with now. Shame on NVIDIA for even considering.
I mean, I hate to say it, but this is going to sound like I agree with you. I'll say that. But, like, they have to make those people do something. Those people still have, like, the people they have on employ, they have to justify them working for them. I mean, if they didn't put out the 3080, their literal industry would just grind to a halt, which it has, and they're still going to feel the effects, but you have to justify your workforce, and their in-house workforce of design, their design teams. So, like, they have to keep designing, because if they don't design, they don't have a job. So you've got this terrible situation where, like, you can't even make the ones that are out right now. You're about to come out with a new one, but you don't have enough to support that. Like, it's like a traffic jam.
Yeah, and what sucks too is, again, you just mentioned, the staff that they have to pay to employ. Right. They can only make so much. So there's also been, I've seen online talk about the fact that they may have to raise the prices, the base prices on the GPUs and everything else as it is, to make up that difference for being able to produce less stock, which scalpers don't care.
Well, and honestly, it's supply and demand. It's just simple. Like, there's less of them, and everybody wants them. The price has to go up, and it's.
And what's absolutely horrible about the situation now is, I've got money put into it. Like I said, I've been trying to do this for months now, and I've gotten to the point to where I'm like, you know what, $800 is not that bad for a 3060. Just the base 3060. And I'm like, and I got mad at myself for even thinking that. But at the same time, that keeps creeping in.
I mean, at the same time, you're at a position where you're not going to be able to get one for another year at 500.
Yeah, and that's true. It's true.
Like, as shitty as that is, you're not going to. You can't get the prices like me and Phil Billy had. Like, you just can't. Yeah. And like. I mean, at least not for a year or two, and by that point there'll be a new one out anyway. Like, your timing is just terrible, unfortunately.
Oh yeah,
but it's on the industry too. Like, how do you have so much reliance on one fucking factory in the whole fucking world? Like, how does that happen? Like, and just no forethought whatsoever.
Right, and that weakness has been exposed now, and now everyone's scrambling. Like, oh, well, we're doing stuff about it. That one company, I forget the name of the company who actually produces those wafers. It's like, oh, we're building another factory, and like, we have I think 1 or 2 factories being built here in America, but at this point too, like, they're not going to be done until 2024. So I mean, going forward in the future, that might be, whatever. And it's getting to the point. What sucks even more is, I hate to keep going back to the fact that we're buying a house, but we are going to have to buy a washing machine and a dryer. Yep. And guess what? Those new washers, new washers run on those too. And the prices for those have been slowly climbing too. Yep. So everything is going up. Actual auto industry is starting to shut down and cut production. It's wild. It's absolutely wild.
Yeah, I don't think people realize how terrible this chip thing is. Like, it's really like grinding people to a halt. And especially in this graphics card industry, I think you're going to see some real, if you can't get it handled by 2025, like, they're going to have to cut staff. People are going to lose jobs. Like, there's just no way around it. Like if I'm building a product and I have 4 people that can build everything but one piece, and then the one piece comes from one place in the world and I can't get those pieces, I can't pay those people to build them anymore,
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know. We need to move on, but it's a terrible situation, and it's going to get way worse before it gets better. All right. Well, let's go ahead and head to the horrible arena, right?
Alrighty.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
That brings us to the end of the show, the main event, the moment you've all been waiting for, the horrible arena. What is the horrible arena if you have never watched or listened before? Well, first of all, please watch or listen more. What is it, though? Second of all, well, we're going to pitch you guys a game. We're going to pitch you guys a game based on pre-existing criteria that we take turns picking, or if there's a guest, we give them the option to pick. We're going to pitch you the title of the game, the developer of the game, and then we're going to tell you the elevator pitch from start to finish as to what it's going to be. Then you guys get to take to all the places and decide which one you would spend your hard-earned money on if you had to choose. Then we decide the winner next week. It's a fun time. So, the pre-existing criteria for last week was picked by me, and it was detective game. We want to pitch a detective game. Doesn't matter what genre it is, it just has to be a game about detectives. So with that being said, the quantum coin has been tossed. I get first pick. I get first pitch. Here I go. Moment to collect myself. My game is going to be Project Noir. Now, it is going to be developed by Undead Labs. I know. But this is going to be a very Zach pitch, as I've mentioned before, so just buckle up and enjoy all that procedural generation. So, here's how it starts. You get to create a character ground up. You get to pick the gender. You get to pick from a list of backstories. And not just the backstory, but sections of the backstory. So you get to pick what they were like in their childhood, what their familial life was like. You get to pick what they were like in their teenage years. You get to pick what they were like in their early adult life, and then how they ended up becoming a detective. So are they an ex-cop who was disgraced? Are they an ex-criminal who went good? Are they an ex-soldier who came back and just needed to find purpose? Any of those things, you get to choose those things that all link together, and this all goes into that procedural generation thing. Then what gets to happen is you get to you have your office, which will be fun, and you'll end up being able to decorate it with in-game currency, and you'll get to buy stuff at stores or whatever. But what's cool is you will actually get handed cases. This will be like a detective novel simulator, basically. But what's even really more cool about this is it will be unique to you, because using those beautiful procedural generation, it's going to do a couple of things. For each case, when you go to start a case, it's going to decide, is this going to be a case based off you and your backstory? Is this going to be a case based off just a random new occurrence? Or is this going to be a case that's based off something you did in a previous case? That's right. That can happen. Whatever the case may be, your person's going to come in and initiate the case, and then you're going to have to go solve the crime, which will all be procedurally generated. The clues, the suspects, where you got to go, what you got to do. It'll take place in the third person, as almost all of Undead Labs games are. There will be some simple shooting mechanics and some simple fighting mechanics, but the game itself will be about investigating these crimes. Another thing that's cool is that most people out there are not master detectives. So one thing that every detective game out there that fails to do is make you feel like that master detective even when you're not. So with this game, as you collect clues, as long as your clues point in the direction of a suspect, that suspect, if you decide to go after them, will turn out to be the killer. You will, however, get a scored, a scored result at the end of the case as to how well you put the clues together with the suspect. So even though there'll be like 5 suspects, and any of them can be the killer, depending on which one you choose. Like, basically, you're not wrong. However, depending on which one you choose, how well the facts go to it is how well the case actually is. And depending on how bad or good the case is, it can come back to haunt you with those cases, with what I said before, when you get those like revenge cases or cases coming back. So like if your rank is real low, someone might come after you for revenge. Something might really hurt you in the future. Stuff like that. Then you will slowly proceed through your detective story. I would imagine he'd do a series of cases, just, I would say like 10 cases overall before you get to decide when he retires or he dies, and you get to start all the way over from scratch. But what's cool, too, is it adds in that, like, age modifier, which is something Undead Labs has never messed with. So like as you go from case to case, your character will actually get older. As he gets wounded, he will actually collect battle scars. Hey, he got in a big fight, he got a fucked up knee. Well, now he don't fight so good, he doesn't move so good. So you have to actually play around that, and you have to decide when it's time to hang it up, or if you can't, your character dies and you lose him. If you manage to retire him, though, you will get to pass on some of his stuff to a new detective that you create from scratch, which is cool. Continuing that perpetual kind of detective game over and over again. And then along the way, there'll be fun stuff like relationships, different sort of friends you can befriend. You can also acquire different contacts that will help you solve the case, like the cop that's always irritated to see you but is friends with you and has a beer every so often. The dame you never know whether you can trust her or not, but you're kind of in love with her. Stuff like that that just keeps this detective story going. So from start to finish, your game is completely unique. Your detective is completely unique, and that is my game, Project Unique Noir. That's it. That's my pitch. On to you, Neil.
The fact that you said whatever the case may be,
I should immediately win.
I don't know. I can't decide whether that's a bonus point or a dad joke that's a -1. I don't know.
Maybe it's both, and I just break even.
Yeah, it's, you know what? That's it. It's both of you break even.
I'm proud of that pitch, though. That's one of my most in-depth pitches ever. I gotta say.
I'll be honest. I don't know. I go back and forth on how mine's gonna turn out. So I mean, I could get disqualified, honestly, on this one. So
well, the only refs are the ones that are voting, so you gotta put it to them.
I could get disqualified on this, but we'll see what happens.
Okay.
My project is going to be called Project Lawyer Up, and it's going to be done by Capcom. So Project Lawyer Up is a party game, and it will be set within the Phoenix Wright universe. The game will function like party games seen in packs, like the Jackbox party packs, where players really only need a copy of the game in their phones, and will be able to join into the same game the way those packs do by following a link and entering a code on your phone, essentially. The game would be played by up to 14 people total, allowing for 12 players to act as jurors, and 2 to act as a prosecution, or 2 to act as the prosecution and the defense, with a minimum of 3 people to play to fill out all the roles. When the game begins, the players would be assigned their roles within this round of play, or decide amongst themselves as to who wants to do what. Once that's decided, then a case name would be presented, and a cutscene would play out on the TV showing the alleged crime or slight against whoever, whatever it may be, taking place, as well as the dispute between the two sides. They basically present their case to everyone. Afterwards, the prosecution and the defense of the aforementioned case would be given 10 minutes to go through the scenario and collect evidence and interview witnesses, all on their phone's touchscreen. So by tapping on, pieces of paper, debris, anything in the area, or maybe a crack in the sidewalk, if somebody tripped and fell, if that could be important, or people who saw it happen, it would open up a dialogue box and you could ask set questions that could be open-ended enough that you could have your own interpretation of the answer of it. And that will come into play a little bit later. Any detail can make the difference in the case. So, like I had mentioned, a tiny piece of paper could be evidence on the ground, or something in the background of the video clip that is not physical evidence, or something seen in a reflection could be something situational and could be used. After those 10 minutes are up, the findings of both sides are then sent to each other so that they can cross-examine witnesses and potentially discredit evidence discovered by the previous side. And that is where the answers to those interviews could be used. The open-endedness of them, you could create a case based off of what that person says. Perhaps that piece of paper found on the ground was not actually part of the situation or crime in question, but could just be garbage. You would get access to that to, potentially discredit that evidence. Now, while this is happening, the jurors can talk amongst themselves and get a feel for the case as they saw it, as they prepare for the evidence to be presented, so that they're not, just sitting there. Obviously, this is a game and it doesn't play out like a real court. That would be very boring. after those final 5 minutes, the scenario replays one more time, and then both sides are given 10 minutes each to present their case to the jury. They can present all of their findings and questions asked by the witnesses while selecting it on their phone, and anything selected is presented up on the screen, much like you would show at an actual court trial. After both sides have presented their cases, the control then shifts to the jury, where they are then sent all of the evidence that has been collected completely so far, and they can comb back through it individually and are given up to 10 minutes to do so, and again, interact with anything that they have been presented with to make their decision. The game would then have the judge in it ask for the jury's votes, and everyone would use their phones to vote. Again, because this is just a game and not an actual court, you wouldn't need a unanimous verdict, just a majority. So, of course, the game would have to have a lot of different cases to avoid it from getting stale. So it would range from anything from like thefts, personal injuries, even potentially murders for all the players to partake in. This is a type of game that literally anyone can play, as it doesn't require any sort of skills or anything other than critical thinking and a copy of the game and some people to play it with. So that is my pitch, Project Lawyer Up. I don't know if it's detective-y enough, though.
I think you're okay on the detective-y. However, it's time for our new segment, which is Lightning Round. No, I'm just kidding.
I was not expecting the voice. It sounded on my end like you literally like belch puked.
Lightning Round.
I was legitimately concerned for you for a minute.
All right, so we each get to ask each other one question. I think it should be opposing as how the pitches were. So since I went first, you should ask me a question first, and then I should ask you a question second. So you may ask me any question you wish about the game that I pitched.
In regards to your game, I do wonder how like progress goes. Obviously, you know, it's one of those games that you kind of play, that you keep playing. There's no real end game in mind.
Right. But
with yours, you had mentioned about if your detective retires, then they can pass their stuff along to the next person. What sort of mitigation could you have for somebody who is like, let's say they've passed knowledge down from like 3 or 4 different detectives, and then like, let's say some bad pull of procedural generation lines up against their current character, and all of that progress is wiped. Is that something that's inherently just a risk that you take as a part of the game? Or is that something that you would have a system in place to correct?
Okay, good question. I think that one thing Undead Labs does with State of Decay 2 is they have what's called a legacy pool of characters that have survived that you can take into new games. If those characters die, they're gone forever, but you still have the other legacy pool. I think with this one, what you get is as your character gains experience, he gains perks to help him. Like I was talking about, the abilities to either find clues or even help him in a fight. Maybe those perks can also add up to connections, such as, like I said, the cop who never likes to see you, or maybe a criminal friend that can back you up in a gunfight. What would happen is, and with detectives, usually there is this, like, you have to spend like 1,000 hours with a detective who's already licensed to get your license. So what I was thinking is, when you go to retire your character, you create a new character and he starts kind of working for your old character. What's cool then is that character can impart to you those perks, like a certain number of those perks to that character. If you die, however, every perk that you've gained goes into this legacy pool. And what I would say is, if you die, you wouldn't get the same number of perks as you had. So like if you're 5 characters in, you would have amassed a ton of legacy perks that can be added to that character, in addition to new perks that you would learn as you go along. However, if he dies, You would still have to start a new character. He would only get a starting couple of perks, but any perk that you had unlocked, you'd be able to pick those as your starting perks. So still, as you're unlocking perks, there is a benefit, even if you don't manage to retire and your character ends in the worst way possible. You can still start a new character and at least take some of the bonuses of what previous characters have done along with you.
That is a great way to get around a permadeath system. I like that. Because that's one of the biggest issues that I think I have with a permadeath sort of situation in games like that is, well, your character died, whatever, you just SOL and everything's gone. Like you can have like some modicum of checkpointing.
Well, I think with State of Decay 2, you have this factor of like you're collecting characters. So you lose a couple characters, there's still a ton of other characters that you have collected, from beating those games. With this, it would be a collective knowledge, so to speak. So this way, okay, he died, you don't get that like awesome character who's just got like 5 characters worth of wisdom to impart, but you start over with a character who still can take something that you've collected,
Yeah.
So my question to you is, I actually think your pitch is really interesting. The one thing I fail to understand is just how many people would be required to actually play this game. It sounds to me like the jury is actually playable. You have the prosecution and the defense actually playable. Is the judge playable too? How many people actually have to be involved to play the game?
Well, I had mentioned that at the top. It was a minimum of 3. The judge is not anything but a mechanic to progress everything forward.
Okay.
It's just like the judge is the quote unquote game.
Okay.
But you need a minimum of 3. Like I had said, the prosecution, defense, and jury. So like if you only have 3 people, like one person is the whole jury.
Can I expand on that question then?
Okay.
What happens if you add more people to it? So if I have 5 people, and depending on how long the cases are, do they then rotate, or what happen? Like, am I always going to play jury if I'm playing with a certain group of friends? How does that work?
And I mentioned that too.
Sorry, I don't know how I missed both of them. Then I feel stupid.
It's okay. So your case is, each case runs somewhere around a half hour to 40 minutes or so, just because of the time that everybody gets. So if you want to add more people, you can add more people. But I mean, I just picked 14 as, 12 for a jury, prosecution, defense. You could have 50 people be in the jury if you wanted to. Okay. Because that's just the primary function of the jury end of it. And whenever the round begins, or like a new thing, like, I don't know, have you ever played the Jackbox games?
No. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay.
Like, I get it.
Yeah,
I somehow missed that. Let me ask this then, since I'm totally failing at the segment that I planned. What does the jury do during the case? Do they just listen the entire time, or do they have anything that they can do during that period? Or is it just listen and then decide it at the end?
Well, I had mentioned that too.
Come on. No, you didn't.
I did. I have it written down. So when the prosecution and defense are reviewing everything, they actually get the ability to, like, they can play back that scenario on their phones to see like what it was that happened and kind of talk amongst themselves.
I heard that. Now, I thought that was all at the end. I'm sorry. I misunderstood then.
Obviously, like, this isn't like obviously, the jury can't just like talk amongst themselves in the middle of the case, but like, it's a game. It's like gamifying it.
Right. No. I think it's a really good pitch. I cannot believe I fucked up 3 straight questions on my. I'll get it better next week. I'm gonna get so made fun of. I am not gonna ask another question and risk you having already said something about it.
It is quite all right.
All right, well, guys, those are the 2 pitches. You guys can go to all of the places I'm about to tell you and vote.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right, so that brings us to the end of the show and the shameless self-promotion that comes with it. Neil, you got anything special you want to plug this week?
No, sir. We are hopefully we didn't get around to it last week, but I think we're going to be able to this week get the next season of Halo Infinite Road done up. And
I'll stay up that night and edit at least one episode so it gets up this week.
Okay. Yeah. So hopefully it'll be up this week, barring any shenanigans.
Yeah.
With my computer and the Xbox app not updating it, which you and I talked about between segments.
Yeah.
I also started building a map for Halo Infinite War for Halo 3. This one's not going to be as fun because I found out they did not update the Forge controls all the way around on all of them. They really only updated it for 2.
That's weird. Why would they do that?
Oh, yeah. It is archaic and very difficult. I'm going to have something for it, but it is not going to have a level of polish. It's going to be boxed in, so there's going to be nobody being able to jump off the sides and run on water infinitely.
That's funny. That's funny.
But yeah, no, we just keep plugging away at this, and I'm hoping this summer. This is like a future plug sort of thing. I'm hoping this summer, and once we get this house stuff figured out, I have wanted to so badly do another Terrible Talk, just because I love that whole process. I promise I haven't forgotten about it. There was a period like 2 months ago that I started typing something out to have something ready to go. Life happens and it's horrible, and I'm not going to be able to get it out for a while, but I promise there's going to be at least one this summer.
Yeah.
That's what I can promise.
All right. As far as I'm concerned, I need to plug OMG Wrestling. We're in the last 2 episodes of the finale right now. The one that just went up is the second to last one, and then the one that's coming this upcoming Monday is the last one. And then we're done with season 2, which has just been awesome, and the amount of people who pitched in on it has been great. I loved working on it so much. I can't wait to do the third one. I do want to side pitch something I think I'm going to try and do. I have 2 people. I don't want to name names in case this doesn't come together, but I think I'm going to try and start streaming Sea of Thieves every so often with 2 people, and none of us know how to play it, so it's going to be real crazy and stupid. I think it's going to be another lunch stream, though, so it's going to be Thursdays. Probably won't be every week, though. Probably like every other week or when we can get to it sort of thing. But just keep on the lookout for that. As usual, you can check out my lunch stream. And then everything else the channel has to offer. We've got tons of shows coming out. I also put a review up, if you're watching this, on Second Extinction. I'm going to have another review up for, I think, the next week, maybe the week after that as well. I don't know. Just because I had taken a break from reviews because, the internet. But yeah, so guys, check out everything the channel has to offer. And as long as you guys keep watching and listening, we'll keep making them, and we'll see you guys next week.
I was just normally it's gonna be like just like a regular ass steak, but every single time you're like, oh man, you should have got the bone-in ribeye, because I always talk about getting the bone-in ribeye, and it's like, you know what, I'm just gonna fucking do it.
I had I won a free meal from one of the games we played one time, so I used it
fuck?
on that.
Oh, okay.
And then I still got my discount on my food. So
Oh shit!
I got things for cheap.
I'm enjoying Steakcast.
I'm gonna strip.
You what?
I'm enjoying Steakcast.
Oh, Steakcast. Yeah, yeah. I have after this, I have Texas Roadhouse waiting for me.
Oh, okay.
Great.
All right, well, we need to get this done then, because that's good shit.
Oh, it's some great shit. You what?
You got your rolls this time too.
Oh shit! I got rolls too. Is there butter?
Nice sweet potato, yeah.
Oh hell yeah!
Did you just become a black man? Not to be that guy, but that's kind of what it sounded like.
No, I just really get hype about food, especially Texas Roadhouse rolls. Texas Rollhouse. The Texas Rollhouse.
Oh.